Hey, what's up, guys? Mr. Cruz here to give you guys the next rundown on our notes, which is going to be 1 and 2 step word problems. So I don't want y'all to get intimidated here because, I get that this is tough. Word problems in and of themselves are pretty intimidating, but good thing y'all got a great teacher. All right. Actually, maybe not so great because this is like my third time recording this video because I keep messing it up. All right, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's go ahead and get it cracking. So 1 and 2 step word problems, we're going to be solving word problems using 1 or 2 step equations. So kind of the stuff that we've been learning, but with word problems. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First one. After eating at the restaurant, Sally, Keith, and Sam decided to divide the bill evenly. If each person paid $13, what was the total of the bill? And it tells us that we're going to be using the letter B to represent the total of the bill. All right. So I see that we're going to be dividing the bill, right? It says dividing the bill. So that means it's going to be, I'm going to be dividing B. What number am I going to put underneath here? I don't know. Let's see. And it says that each person paid $13. So I'm going to put that to mean it should equal 13. So I'm taking the bill. We also kind of have to use common sense. I'm taking the total of the bill. I'm dividing it by how many people we split the bill evenly with. And then that means each person has ended up paying $13. So what number am I going to put under B? Well, it tells me here, Sally, Keith, and Sam are the ones who went to the restaurant and divided the bill. So out of those people, those are a total of 3 people. So B, the total of the bill, divided by the 3 people that ate, equals 13, meaning each person paid $13. Now, it's not good enough for us to solve it, right? Solving it will probably be pretty easy, but we have to come up with an equation that matches the word problem. It matches what it's asking us to do. This is the most important part, and it's probably going to be the hardest part. So on the next slide, right, bam. So I see B divided by 3 equals 13. So I see that I did it right. Now I am going to solve it now. So I'm going to draw my river, box of my variable. I'm left with divided by 3, right? I'm looking on the side of the river that the variable's on. Left with divided by 3, so instead I'm going to multiply by 3. So multiply by 3 on both sides. This side is going to cancel out, and B is going to be left by itself. 13 times 3 is going to give me 39. So the total of the bill for 3 people, $39. Where'd they go out to eat? Maybe La Coretta. All right, next up. Says Sarah's high school played 13 football games this year. The team won most of their games. They were defeated during 4 games. How many games did they win? Okay, so in total, and we're using W to represent how many wins they had. So in total, they played 13 games the entire season, right? Or the entire school year. They lost 4 games. I'm going to have to add W because the total amount of wins plus the total amount of losses equals the total amount of games that they played all year. You would think that because it says defeated that we're going to be subtracting, but that's not the case here. We're taking the total amount that they won plus how many they lost equals the amount of games that they played all year. So looking at the next slide, did we do it correct? Yes, we did. We set it up properly. And now we're going to solve it. Draw my river, box of my variable. I'm left with plus 4. So instead, I'm going to do minus 4. I'll be left with W by itself because this is going to cancel out, right? Whenever we do the inverse or whenever we do the opposite, it cancels out. And then on this side, I'm doing minus 4. So 13 minus 4 equals 9. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So W equals 9, meaning that they won 9 games out of the 13 games that they played this year. All right. On to the next one. All right. Riverwalk Bike Rental Shop charges $18 plus $8 an hour for renting a bike. So, okay, 18 plus, I know that that's going to be the case, 18 or $8 an hour for renting a bike. Jessica paid $82 to rent a bike. So that means it's going to equal 82. How many hours did she pay to have the bike checked out? And it says that we're using H. So H represents hours. And since here it says $8 an hour, that's kind of the same thing as saying $8 per hour. That means that they're being multiplied. So here is what my equation should look like. 18 plus 8H equals 82. So this is our first 2-step problem. The previous ones have all been 1 step. All right, I have it. Let's see on the next slide. Did I set it up correctly? I did. So the total of being $82, that's coming from the $18. That's just if you want to rent a bike, you have to pay $18 straight up. And then on top of that, you're paying $8 an hour every single hour that you're renting the bike for. So for every hour that you're on the bike or that you're riding around on the bike, I don't know, you took the bike out to dinner or whatever, you're paying $8 an hour every time after that. All right, so that's how we kind of end up with this here. So now I'm going to draw my river, box up my variable. And when I box up my variable, notice that I boxed up the operation that's taking place next to it, the plus sign. That means that my 8H is going to be positive. I'm left with a positive 18. So what am I going to do instead? I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. It doesn't have anything to do with like my plus symbol here. I'm subtracting 18 because I have a positive 18 and I need to turn that 18 into 0. If I were to add 18, then I would end up with 36, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, this is going to cancel out. I'm left with 8H all by itself. What is 82 minus 18? I'm not big brain enough, at least not this early in the morning, to be doing this. All right, 64. So we have 64. So now we have 8 times H equals 64. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to divide because I'm already multiplying, right? 8 times H. So I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. This is going to cancel out, and I'm left with H all by itself. Over here, 64 divided by 8 gives me 8. So she rented the bike for 8 hours. Renting a bike for 8 hours? Jeez. You're going to have your thighs looking like tree trunks. All right. We'll stop after this one, and then I'll see you guys on the next video. So it says Benny sold half of his comic books and then bought 8 more. He now has 13. All right, so bought 8 more. I'm going to take that to mean plus 8. He now has 13. I'm going to take that to mean it equals 13. And then it says he sold half of his comic books. Now, if I remember from verbal expressions, the word half means to divide by 2. So what am I going to put on top? It tells me that I'm going to be using C to represent his comic books. So I'm going to start out with C divided by 2 because it starts out by telling us he sold half of his comic books. All right, so with that set up, let's see on our next slide. All right, we set it up correctly. Now we're going to solve it here. I'm going to do my river up here and whatnot. Draw my river, box up my variable. I'm left with plus 8. So instead, I'm going to subtract. I'm going to do the inverse, or I'm going to do the opposite. This right here is going to cancel out. 13 minus 8. Again, I'm not too big brain right now. 5. And then I'm bringing down what I boxed up earlier, C divided by 2. So since I have C divided by 2, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to multiply by 2. This is not going to give me 4. This is going to cancel itself out. And then I'm left with C by itself. And 5 times 2 gives me 10. See, I'm big brain enough to be able to figure that one out. So C equals 10. He started out with 10 comic books. He sold half of them. Then he bought 8 more and ended up with 13. All right. I'm going to see you guys in the next video for the rest of the notes. If you feel... I'll see you guys in the next video. Never mind. Peace.